Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. This time we are welcoming Ashmatic from Spurs Kings TV on a very sunny day. As you can see, Ash, how you doing, man?
Yeah, man. As you said, I'm enjoying the sun. I'm trying to get dark like you, Savva, man. I'm trying to get that tan.
Oh, mate, listen, if I was your colour, I'd be so happy, man. I'd be so happy, Ash. This is pale for a Greek boy. Ash, look, let's crack on and get into it. This is unknown territory for Spurs. This is our second European final in the space of 6 years. We're all hoping for a better outcome than the last time we went to Spain. What are you making of it, mate? Because it's two very, very poor, underperforming teams this season. What do you make about the final versus Man United in its in a kind of general term?
It's crazy. You're right, man. Two Premier League teams underperforming in a Europa League final. And to put it into context, we've played a load of teams across Europe that aren't of the level that both of our teams should be at, if that makes sense. So in terms of squad player profile, expectations, size of fan bases, and also now to add to it, it's not just a cup, because before, like, winning the cup was a big thing, especially in my day. The UEFA Cup was a massive cup, you know. To add on top of it, they're throwing Champions League qualification to it. For me, is extra incentive, as before teams were dropping down from the Champions League and there wasn't the same incentive. So you would basically face the team that would either been in Europa already or a team that's dropped down into Champions League. Now they've added this extra kind of carrot dangling above our heads. It makes that much more competitive, knowing how our seasons, both Man United and Spurs, have gone. We've actually mirrored each other in terms of what we've done in the season. So it's very interesting. There's a lot on the line.
Yeah, and listen, from the point of view, before we get to the actual game, from the point of view as well, that yes, Spurs need to win a trophy. Yes, Man United win trophies. But for both these clubs, it's gone a bit past just winning it, hasn't it, in terms of the revenue that both clubs are going to need. One that's built a stadium, one that's looking to build a stadium, and also, Ash, not falling behind City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Newcastle, Villa, even Nottingham Forest trying to be up there. This is a huge, huge game for both clubs, isn't it?
Well, we can see already that teams have gone early because of the Club World Cup. The windows opened a little bit earlier. And so there's been a windfall of money coming through the Premier League. A lot of people are predicting that this is going to be the biggest ever summer transfer window. And so you're seeing deals getting moved quite early. And it does worry me as a Spurs fan, because we are not too sure where we're going in terms of director of football, in terms of our manager, in terms of our structure going forward, in terms of identifying players that we want. We can't do any of that until those things are in place. And so all these other teams I'm seeing linked with the lap, I'm seeing teams linked with Cunha, exciting strikers around the world are being linked. I won't say for those guys down the road, but, you know, there's quite a few big deals going on at the moment. And I'm getting worried just from that point of view. But just aside from money and not getting our business done for obvious reasons, I'm looking at the fact that the tag of Spursiness, get off our backs, you know what I mean? In terms of attracting players, because there's one thing you said about Man United having the allure and having the history and, you know, the heritage that they can attract players. For Spurs, for me, we need to have that monkey off our back. So then now all of a sudden, you can win trophies at Spurs. This was a whole myth about Spurs and you can't do anything else. Do you know what I mean? So that kind of, in my favor, the importance. If Man United don't win it, yes, financially it is a blow for them, but they're already in forward motion in terms of what they're doing, in terms of their summer transfer window budget and what players they're trying to identify. They're already negotiating with Cunha and who we negotiating with. So
I mean, you're right. I mean, there's so much up in the air at the moment. You know, we keep seeing pictures of Paratici at the stadium, which tells you he's coming back. You know, there's the new CEO. Who's the manager going to be? But look, we'll park that for 1 minute. Look, this is an interesting game, and I'll be honest, it's the team I didn't want. I didn't want to face Man United in the final because we know them. right? And what I mean by that is, you're talking about the heritage. It's the English team that we know how they play. They know how we play. And Man United have this knack, Ash, of winning trophies, even in their dark times. Like, oh, Jose did a rubbish job. Europa League, League Cup. You know, this manager did a bad job. Ten Hag, League Cup, FA Cup. They know how to get over the line. So with that in mind, what are you expecting from a tactical standpoint? Are we going to be this pragmatic European Tottenham, or because it's an English team, are we going to go back to gung-ho, chaotic Premier League Tottenham?
Well, it depends, because if you look at the last few games, in particular the last game, Manchester United actually edged the possession stats. They had a little bit more of the ball.
Yep.
So, and that was with James Maddison, who will not be in that squad. So typically, we were at home. We're going to be on a neutral ground. Manchester United don't tend to play well at home. So, you know, I'm going with this, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying, in terms of tactics, I think we will continue that frame of mind where, you know, we're going to have less of the ball.
Sure.
And they might dominate with their midfield. They're having that's where their strength is, I believe. They have Ugarte, they have players like Mainu, they also have Bruno Fernandes, and they've got Casemiro. And now those guys, I would say Casemiro and Bruno, they're kind of like the kind of controllers. They're quite good on the ball. They can pass. First touch is not too bad. And so technically, those are the players you kind of look to that they're going to dominate and get on the ball a lot. They're the ones that are going to fire crosses into the box or pass in between the lines, get in between our lines, hard to pick up, etc. And I think with Casemiro, his role slightly changed with their manager. And I think they had a word on a training ground how Ten Hag was using him as a lone pivot. And now he's got someone alongside him like a Bruno. And it's allowed him to push higher up. And now you're seeing the old Casemiro that, you know, used to play at Real Madrid, and he had a player next to him. So it's a bit of a worry if Bruno doesn't play in the 10, because I think when he's in this kind of midfield role and he's allowed to dictate, that's when he can become dangerous, and he can pick up those little areas, that's what I call pockets, where he can thread balls through, he can do diagonal balls into the box, he can cross into the box, all those key passes that may somehow find Garnacho that runs into dangerous corridors where sometimes he wants to shoot, he can do a cutback and cause havoc that way. So there's little things that I'm trying to look out for. Like, do we put a man on a player like Bruno Fernandes? Then also you're seeing the resurgence of a player coming back into their team called Mason Mount. Now, was that a one-off? Was that a one-off? Because we haven't seen that all season. But
we know he's got goals in him, Mason Mount, right? We've seen in seasons gone by that he does like to, not the Dele Alli role, so to speak, but he does like to drift into the box. He does like to get shots off. And Ash, the key thing is, from what you've just said, when you look at those players, Mount, Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, these are seasoned, experienced winners. They've all won everything. Like they know how to get it done, don't they?
Yeah, Mount's done the Champions League. Casemiro's done the Champions League. Bruno's won cups recently with Manchester United, and so has Casemiro. They've actually won with their club the cup, so they know what it feels like to be in a hostile environment. They know what it feels like to be psychologically, because there's some things we don't really take into account. You know, how will the players react in the day? Because they are human beings. How are they going to react to the occasion? Are they going to play the occasion, or are they going to play the game? Are they going to be able to handle themselves mentally if they go down and come back and ride that storm? So these are the things that some of those players might have the edge on ours. You know what I mean? We're a fairly young squad in terms of finals and getting it over the line, for example. So yeah, with Mount, I think it's the football IQ where he's allowed to ghost into those positions where you're talking about that Dele-esque kind of box crasher, and he knows he's not the most like explosive player, but like technically he's good. And having an understanding where to be and when to be there, it's just a moment or a matter of time with a Manchester United player. If they can pick him out, if they pick him out, he can execute those shots and he can get them off. And it's down to players like Vicario now. Let's talk about Tottenham for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I'm talking about Man U for quite a bit tactically, and I'm aware of the time as well.
No, you're good. You're good. I mean, I was going to say to you, where do we hurt them? Because Ash, as of the time of recording, we know there's no Maddison. Kulu, we're hearing, could be out. Son is a race against time, a bit like Kane in 2019. Where are we hurting them? What do you think is our best route to their goal?
So if I look at the two teams, I think our strengths lie further back in our defense, which kind of sounds worrying where I'm saying, you know, their midfield's so technical and we haven't got that because Kulu could be messing. So I would bypass the midfield if I'm being totally honest.
Sure.
Sometimes the best route of attack would be to go direct. Yeah. We've got defenders that can pass the ball. We've got defenders that can break lines. Vicario, when he wants to, can do those little diags into Porro. And Porro's the one that is most creative player, in my opinion. He's the one that can get wide, whip crosses in, even from deep. He can find a ball into those players. And look, it's controversial, right? And I'm saying, look, if we haven't got a 10, why play a 10? Why force a player in that position? Why not do a... All right, this is going to sound I'm going to say it again.
Go for it.
Either 4-2-4 or 4-4-2. Like people know 4-4-2. So what I mean is, when I say 4-2-4, what I mean is you've got a back four, two midfielders that sit deep, right?
Yeah.
So essentially, you've got 6 players behind the ball. I know it sounds really pragmatic, but I expect Man United to have that ball. We can hurt them on transition because we do have players that can run in behind. Some players that you know, they like to get wide and then hurt teams 1v1. So I say 1v1, but but we've got Son on his day. He can be that guy. I know he hasn't done that of late, and I know he only came on for like 30 minutes or so in the second half. Didn't look super static, but hopefully against Aston Villa he can get some more minutes, get some more rhythm. And he could on his day. He is our best finisher at the end of the day. And if you get him in a position where he's got space to run in behind and have a 1v1 versus a keeper, I think the direct route from like maybe Porro going right to left in a diag, he could hit a player like Son. We could end up.
So with what you've just said, and I'm wary of the time, we've got about 2 minutes left. With what you just said, would you go Solanke and Richarlison, bypass everything? Let's get it into them two who are both big, both awkward. Let Richarlison do his shithousery and try and target them that way.
Yeah, because Solanke naturally drops into the 10 position.
Sure.
Does that make sense? That's why I play him off of like Richarlison, the furthest forward, because you want to get crosses into the box. So whether that be Porro, whether that be Johnson, Johnson's not the most accurate in terms of crossing. He needs to be his first man when he crosses the box. But just like you said, I think you've got Solanke. His aerial strength is incredible. I think Richarlison's aerial strength even better. So why not play to their strengths? And any second ball that comes down to them, because I'm thinking Solanke wins the second ball. So Solanke wins the ball, and then the ball might drop into Richarlison's path, or it might drop into Son, or even Johnson. They could get on their bike and they can either run in between the centre back and the full back in that kind of pocket where they can get 1v1, or they can run slightly wider and isolate the winger and just literally put the burners on, put a ball across the box, tap in FC. Do you know what I'm saying? Once we, the thing for me is I don't want to start fast. I don't want to get early goal. That puts extra pressure on the players, more nerves for the fans, and we've got to defend for a longer time. I would prefer to start a little bit slower, a bit more pragmatic, feel out the game, a bit more controlled, absorb what they have, like minimize them to half chances, to crosses into the box. Do you know what I mean? And as I said, having the back four being solid, you could have them drop in a little bit and defend those crosses coming into the box. But what we need to do, essential, we need to get those midfielders to help out the fullbacks, not the wingers.
Massively.
Because I don't think Johnson, as good as he was in the Europa Cup against, I think it was Bodo Glint, he was helping Porro out. He was getting back and slide tackling. Across the season, we haven't seen that too much. So I would prefer if one of the midfielders, vacated, that space, because we do have like 2 midfielders sitting, one could sit and then the other one helps out the fullback and it allows one of the wingers to stay higher up, or one of the front four to stay higher up. And then that way, when you've got 6 players resting behind the ball in a rest defense, you could fire the ball into a Johnson. Johnson could stay high up and be more of a threat. And then that creates more space because it gives their fullbacks or their wing backs something to think about. Yeah. And then that creates gaps all over the pitch. And that's tactically, that's something I would consider. But
I agree with you. Look, let's see what Ange does. Listen, for the last 60 seconds, I've got 3 quick fire questions at you that I'm asking everybody. The first question is this: are Tottenham Hotspur winning the Europa League? And if so, what's the score going to be?
Hell yeah, man. We're going to win this, man. As a fan, you have to be slightly delusional. Otherwise, what's the point? I'm going for 2-1 Spurs. Yeah.
2-1 Spurs. Everyone so far has said the exact same thing. 2-1 Spurs. Right. Secondly, if Ange wins the Europa League, will he be the manager for the first game of next season? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. And if Ruben Amorim loses the Europa League final next week, will he be the manager of Man United on the first game of next season?
Yes.
Okay. So Ash is saying 2-1 to Tottenham. Ange will not be the manager of Spurs, whatever happens next year. And Ruben Amorim will be, no matter what happens this year. Ash, thank you very much. Everybody, you all know Ash. Please get over, subscribe to Spurs Kings TV. The link is going to be in the bio of the channel. Him and Marlon do a great job. And thank you very much, Ash. Take care, everyone. Let us know your thoughts. If you want to abuse Ash for whatever he said, feel free. Knock yourself out. Take some of the heat off me for once. Abuse this guy. Take care, everyone. See you later. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
You Spurs.